Well, the debate over body cams on cops, the lame duck Congress, it might not get anything done, and the latest tumble from grace for Bill Cosby. Let's go around the dial and welcome in from WPHT or WHBT 1210 in Philadelphia, where he holds court weekdays from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. Don Giordano joins us. Don, always a pleasure to see you again, my friend.
Thanks, Ed, very much.
And I got to get it right. You know something? It's just years. PHT, HPT, that's my bad. So I completely take the hit for that one right there because I don't know why I do that. I know these radio stations by heart, and I still get it wrong.
I know you do.
So there you go. Let's start out with the body cam issue here. We just had a couple of minutes ago, right here on the show, the national chairman and executive director of the National Black Police Association. And we asked him about body cams. And even he said flat out, if you think this is basically going to be the end-all, be-all, and this is going to solve everything, you're wrong. But isn't it fair to say that this may solve a lot of things? And not only that, it may also make us see that a lot of cops get it right.
I am not in that camp yet, Ed. I guess I could be convinced. I'm not sure if you are, but I more with the ACLU and others. I worry about various privacy issues. I worry about cops that might say something politically incorrect, a gotcha sort of thing, and being under that kind of scrutiny. And to your broader point, it wouldn't have meant anything in Ferguson. I'm convinced we could have seen the attack upon Officer Wilson, and people on the other side would have still said what they were going to say.
So we still, though, and he is right in one instance, this is not going to be the end-all, be-all here. And it's people, I think, are looking at the body cams and saying, well, if we have one, it will solve everything. It really won't solve everything because we still have to look at the court of law, grand juries, trial juries, whatever you want. And in still many minds that I've spoken to, the grand jury got it right in this case from the beginning.
Yes, I think that's right. And as I said, I'm open to it. I'm open to be convinced about this, seeing how it plays out. There have been, and here in Philadelphia, Ed, they're trying it with about 30 or 40 police officers to start to study it, see how it plays out, et cetera. But the bottom line on this is the police, I feel what was done yesterday is anti-police, this summit, and some of the things right here in Philadelphia. Our mayor was critical of the police, saying, why were they in riot gear the night in Ferguson? Why were they in riot gear? Because they were trying to send a message. You're not going to riot and loot. And if they had been backed up by the National Guard, maybe that would have sent that message. So I'm very, very wary about police being the focal point here versus a shared thing with the community, and why so many people are engaged with the police in situations that demand deadly force.
Now, I'm going to get to what you said right there because it's a point I brought up to Mr. Aziz as well. And that is that while communities, no matter the color, the makeup of the communities, but let's say African-American communities are in many ways very badly policed. There's a lot of problems there. There's a lot of racism there. There's a lot of things that go on here. But the communities themselves need to do what they can do. And there is a faction in America that believes that these communities are not helping themselves and they're putting too much of the onus sitting on the police officers, and that's wrong. How do you stand?
Absolutely. And I live in, as you know, Philadelphia, in Germantown in Philadelphia, which is definitely an urban area. And for every situation involving police that are not treating people in the same way they would with a more affluent white neighborhood, police are in a very, very frightful situation themselves. And that's why they're very jumpy around these things. And when they see a guy like Al Sharpton, Ed, sitting at the hand of the president yesterday around this, they get a clear message. This isn't about figuring out what to do. This is about blaming police, putting more onus on the police. And police tell me they'd rather face some kind of inquisition than be shot to death. We had 7 cops shot to death in Philadelphia a couple years ago within 18 months while on duty. 7.
Let me then get to a story that happened today and get your opinion on this, because this is all part of Ferguson here. The police are now investigating Michael Brown's stepfather. Remember, the stepfather stand there, and he said, burn this bee down, this female dog down, said it out loud, and the networks basically repeated it over and over again. They're now investigating him to see if he intended to incite to riot. Seems to me to be pretty cut and dry that there was an incitement to riot there, yes?
I think there was, Ed, and I think the mistake was the mom, as I remember it, and the stepfather both being put out there, you know, in public with these people. Was that really the way to do to get that reaction to the verdict? And then what he said is incitement to riot. So I would pursue that. I would investigate. Now, maybe you look at mitigating circumstances here, but you look at this guy's track record, at least according to some news reports, and there was potential criminal activity in his past in the last day or two we've heard. So again, it doesn't take much to see the aggrieved stepfather saying, burn the bee down, to fuel this type of thing. And if they let it go, they're just pulling a punch here. I think they have to look at it.
All right, let's go ahead and spin to what's happening now in Washington, D.C. The new Congress has taken over. Actually, they only have 12 days left. I'm sorry, but I have to laugh every time I think of that. Here are the lawmakers, the people who are going to decide how we live our lives here in America. Oh, sorry, 12 days and we go back on vacation. I mean, John Boehner has basically said, all right, let's go ahead, let's fund the government, then let's put immigration off until 2015. Do you really expect anything to get done here in the next dozen days? Anything substantive?
No, but I think there's going to be a very interesting battle, Ed, between the people I'm on the side of. They don't want to fund the government through 2015. They don't want to do that now. They want to wait because Harry Reid's been able to have all these continuing resolutions. Why do that now?
Yeah, but if the Republicans, wait a minute, hang on a sec there, Don, but if the Republicans don't fund the government now, aren't the Republicans going to get blamed again by the general public for being the party of no, and they're going to go right back to where they were before the midterms?
Well, I'm talking about, Ed, though, the funding for the complete 2015 year versus funding and moving a continuing resolution. And I'm telling you, I think there's a lot of people on the House side that we bring on and talk about that want to have that debate about why do that at this point? Why waste another year and allow them to run out the clock, and then we're towards 2016? So the debate's going to be within the Republican Party.
Okay, we'll get to that. Finally, Bill Cosby resigned from the Temple University Board. Your take?
Big news here, and a lot of listeners that are still not on board with going after Cosby. And we kind of parsed out three reasons why today. One, the reservoir of goodwill he's built up. Two, they feel there's a double standard going after him versus a Roman Polanski and others who may have been engaged in things. And three, they just see what he's done here in Philadelphia tremendously. So I've been in the camp that Bill Cosby has meant as much to $100 million to Temple University. I know a couple of trustees, talking with them. They held out as long as they could. There was a lot of pressure on Temple. And again, in at least one case, Cosby appears to have settled with a woman for some kind of potential assault.
Indeed. We're going to have to follow this story now because I know in Philly it's tough because he is he's the Philadelphia Sun for many years. That's all he talked about.
He means a lot here, yeah.
First guy that ever said, when I heard him as a comic, he said, I come from Philadelphia. So there we go. That's exactly was his big joke. Dom, we're out of time, my friend, but thanks so much for joining us. We'll make sure to catch you on WPHT 1210 in Philadelphia, 9 to noon Eastern. Thanks a lot, Dom.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, after the break, the real challenge facing Republicans as they seek to wrest control of the White House in 2016. That's on MidPoint.